way now. I'm on my way now.
New York City is one of the most expensive cities in the nation. The rent, the food, the activities, all excessively overpriced. Or are they? So according to Forbes, New York City isn't even in the top 10 most expensive cities in the world. But according to me, it's pretty still darn expensive. Also, when I walked up my stairs onto the rooftop, I guess they just painted the floor white and the sun was coming down so hard. I opened up the door and I was just blinded. I thought I just opened up the door to heaven, but it was just to my NYC rooftop. Same difference. But what is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel and back to New York City. It is a beautiful, hot, summer feeling day here on Memorial Day weekend. And the question for today's video is, can you afford living in New York City? And my answer is, I think so.
I'll be going away for a while. Oh, and I don't know what I'll find. Maybe I can be a rock star, playing songs on my guitar. I know I have to be somewhere else to be able to find myself.
Danny, let's go with the usual.
If I listen to my heart, I'm gonna leave it all.
That place has been my new every single day coffee shop. Someone was just handing out free coffee flyers on my block and I went to go check it out. I actually got to meet the owner, who's from Australia, and I found out that Australia is actually the coffee capital of the world, which explains why they have such delicious coffee. But yes, can you afford New York City? And I say yes because the norm here, I'd say, is rather expensive and relatively high, but there are ways to spend less money and be on a budget. There are a lot of things here that are for cheap. Let's put it this way, for a $300 a month, one bedroom or studio in middle America, that would cost over $3,000 here in Manhattan. And according to the internet, an average studio with a doorman in Manhattan goes for about $2,367 per month. Then a one bedroom with a doorman is about $3,428 per month. But there are ways around that. When I first moved here about almost exactly 2 years ago, I moved to one of the cheaper parts of Lower Manhattan, which is Chinatown. And instead of getting a one bedroom or studio, I had 7 roommates. I still really need to make a video about that and share the story about living in Chinatown with 7 roommates because it's an interesting one. One of the great things about living in New York is even the neighborhood that I live in, the East Village, there's so much to explore. I have never even noticed this store called Video Games New York, and it has this big Mario and Sonic. I think it's time to check this place out. This store is awesome. They have games and systems that I think trace back to before I was even born. This is wild. What is this? I personally don't play many video games. I have a lot of respect for esports players and people who do, but back in the day, I was a pretty badass Super Smash Bros. Player. Not gonna lie. So for my subscribers, you know this is my apartment here in the East Village, but for those of you who just clicked on the video and it's your first time here, welcome. And I live here with my best friend, who's also a fellow YouTuber, Living Bobby, and this is our living busy apartment. The bedrooms are rather small, but we got it because we love the spacious living room. I mean, at least for Manhattan, this is spacious. But an apartment like this typically goes for around a little over $3,000 in this neighborhood. This is a very popular neighborhood where a lot of people want to live. But I actually found this apartment on Craigslist, so we're going right through the landlord directly, and there's no broker fee, which is typically 15%, so it's a pretty good deal. We got very lucky. This was the first apartment I looked at, and we just took it. I was like, this is a good deal, let's go for it. So we've been here since January, so almost 6 months, and have been loving it. So my advice, if you're looking for an apartment in New York City, try and go directly through the landlord or the owner of the building so you don't have to pay that 15%. This is something that I totally fall in victim to, which is never buying groceries and cooking at home. But honestly, it's not even much cheaper to go grocery shopping, cook yourself, than to just go out and eat or order seamless. That is because if you go to one of the smaller boutique grocery stores, or if you go to the chain DAG it's called, and then also Whole Foods, it's actually very expensive to go grocery shopping here. More expensive than anywhere else in the nation, as I read online. But there are a few Trader Joe's, or you can do what I used to do, which is go down to Chinatown and go to the grocery stores there, because you can get the cheapest food in all of New York City there. So if you are moving here on a budget, then I recommend that. And wow, this sunlight is amazing. Alright guys, next let's talk about transportation. For the subway for 1 month, I believe it's $150 per month. Or you can get City Bike for $150 for the year. So by bike or by skateboard is definitely my favorite way to get around this city, since it's cheaper and also you get to be outside and exploring. When you're on the subway, it's usually gross and not as fun. I'm just not a big subway person. This is what I'm talking about, guys. If I wasn't on this bike riding to my destination, I would not have seen the world's largest rock candy statue. Very glad I saw that. Back on the way.
If I listen to my heart, I'm gonna leave it all.
So I just made it to my destination. I'm here at Eric Conover's house.
What's up, everyone?
Eric, today's video is actually a video similar to what you did. It's on, can you afford New York City? And I know you did the cost of living in New York City.
I did a comparison of showing how you could live in the city one way, spending like a ton of money, and then the same day over again, kind of like a Groundhog's Day, with how you can save money and how the choices you make can determine how much you spend here.
That's exactly what I was saying, how the norm here I think is relatively high, but there are ways to live cheap.
Yeah.
You can have 7 roommates like my first apartment did, and you know, there's different ways, and how you grocery shop in Chinatown instead of going out to eat.
I think it's good because even like when I first moved to the city, I remember just like I would budget every single thing. Like I think it was like $1,500, maybe like $1,300 was like my limit per month.
Speaking of that,
so like,
that's how I found you, was from his apartment, tiny apartment tour, and I was typing in like apartments in New York City, found his videos, and here we are now on his roof.
Exactly, it's very cool. Like if you do have the dream to move here, like you can make it happen.
Yep.
And save money.
It's true. It's true. And then you can get a dope apartment with a rooftop like this, overlooking Manhattan. So we're just out here enjoying and lounging and trying to think why some clouds are light and some are dark. You know, just letting our mind wander.
Comment down below.
Comment down below why the clouds are dark.
I'm on my way now. I'm on my way now. I'm on my way now. I'm on my way now.
3, 2, 1. So guys, this is Chris. Chris is going to be my helper, I guess you could say intern, since you're getting college credit for this, right?
Yep.
And I want to explain how we met because I do respect it, since Chris has been watching the videos for what, like a year now, you said?
Yeah, I follow other like YouTube creatives in New York City as well, like Casey, Sarah, Craig, all those guys, and then you came up in the related page. I was like, oh, you know, I'll give this a shot. And I watched and I was just like immediately captivated by it, like especially the personality, just like how you communicate with these strangers on the streets. I was like, wow, this guy's really cool. So, you know, threw a sub. I was like, what, around like 10K? So you've basically tripled in over a year. Like,
because we have been in contact like through DMs, and then he just randomly emailed me like, hey Brett, I would love to intern for you this summer. And I was like, okay, maybe. You know, I've gotten that a lot. Like a lot of people have hit me up to intern, but they don't really follow up. And you were persistent in a respectful way. You weren't like bothersome. So you just like kept saying like, hey, like what do you think about that? And he moved out here from Florida and is now living in the city and is gonna be helping out for the summer. So whenever I need someone help shooting and everything, like I'm always hiring my friend Willem or other people. So it'll be nice to have someone who's meant to be doing this and you know, gonna be getting a great experience. So cheers to that.
Yes, sir.
Celebratory bubble tea here. We don't pop champagne, we pop bubble tea.
Pop bubble tea all the time.
And guys, the other exciting news I wanted to update you on is I got this very exciting opportunity that involves making a travel series and leaving the country. And this is the first time meeting Chris. This is his first day on the job. And he's gonna be coming on this trip with me. That's a pretty sweet internship.
I got lucky.
Yeah.
I got lucky.
You did. Persistence is key. If you want something, get out there and get it. And until next time, remember to get out and get busy, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
now.